So I suppose it's about 2 years ago now, when it first started. There's a rat infestation in the block I'm living in. At the start, we could just hear them through the wall, crying, scratching, like running. I rang, nobody came out, it was about 16 months in when they eventually took any bit of notice of me. They came out. I moved at that stage. I'd moved out twice already up to my mum's house with my 2 kids, because obviously we were petrified. And that was just at the noises and stuff. They came back then. They set traps. Those traps that they set down, they didn't check for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And actually why they actually came back to check the traps in the first place is because I was after getting on to Neil and I was after being on air, so that caught their attention. So when they came out then, they found nothing in the traps, and they basically said, there's nothing we can do. It's a block of apartments, like duplex apartments, that have no attic, and they were like, look, this is just an open block, they have the run of the block, there's nothing we can do, basically. Which obviously was no good to me or my 2 children. Like that, I went up and stayed at my mum's house for months. That, like last year, January to December, I was out of that house for 7 full months because of what was going on. Then in March of this year, I was in the house on a Saturday. That was the last time I was on to Neil. I was in the house on a Saturday night getting ready to go to my mum's because the kids were in their dad's, and I don't stay there on my own. And just as I was getting ready to go, I was in the kitchen. I turned around to get my handbag, and there was a rat running around the kitchen. That was the first time I've seen one in the house. Again, I was on to Neil again about that because I had to leave. So they did send people up. I was lucky enough that I could stay at my mum's at that time, but circumstances have changed there. I can't stay at my mum's anymore. I've well outstayed my
I'm getting that impression. Can I read a previous communication you had with the programme? Just give me a moment. This is so unfair to be living like this for 23 months, almost 2 solid years. I'm at my wit's end. My kids aren't far behind me, to be very honest. I've just had to get the kids out of the house at 2 a.m. due to the noises, scratches and crying sounds from the rats in the walls. It's so loud it woke my 8-year-old boy from a deep sleep. When we came down the stairs, there was a rat in the kitchen again. I can't go to my mum's at this hour, and also my sick grandmother is now staying with her, so we actually have nowhere to go. The problem is getting so bad that my next door neighbour is in the same position. We're actually petrified. This is no way of living at all. I'm never once fully comfortable here in this place. So what's happened since?
So on Friday, I was put into emergency accommodation because it was a long weekend. We were actually put into a B&B in Mallow. I live in Fein. So that's completely out of my reach. Like, it's way out of the way. This morning in the house there is contractors there, but basically he told me today, the foreman or whoever, I don't know his position properly, being honest, told me that, we're blocking everything off now so you can come back in. But I've been told this 6, 7, 8 times. Like, how I don't understand how they think I can just go back in. How my kids can just go back in.
Blocking everything off. They need to get the rats out first, don't they? Thomas Gould.
That would be
is the Sinn Féin TD and is across the issue. Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning.
You're aware of the situation, Thomas?
Yes. Can I say, Mick? Listen, I'm just listening to Rachel there now. The thing about this is not unusual. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with 7 other similar cases plus Rachel's, where rats have got into the walls of houses or apartments, into the ceilings. I've known a number of families who've moved out either with parents or to family members, brothers or sisters, who've been like the thought.
But
like,
they're actually in the house now as well, Thomas.
Yeah, I know Rachel. Yes, like I know Rachel, who rang me once in the morning. They actually, her brother had brought up a rat cage, and the rat was in the cage jumping around the kitchen. And like, listen to what you're describing there. It's absolutely terrifying for anyone who's infected by these rat infestations, you know. And like, the thing is, there's Rachel now having to move out on a bank holiday weekend. The whole issue of how the council is dealing with rat infestations, and there are a number of issues here, Mick, right?
Not least of which is Lyme's disease, which you could pick up from rats' urine.
Well, what we know is one of the reasons that there's an issue with rat infestations. It's because of fly tipping and dumping by people and by neighbours and by passers-by. Now, I spoke with councillors Mick Mulcahy and Kenny Collins before I came on today, and I know that Rachel has been on to Mick numerous times as well. And I also spoke to Ken Weldon in my office about and we had looked for a complete audit being done of Rachel's property there in the end of May, where the council would have gone in and they would have actually fixed annual problems that they are fixing now. This shouldn't have waited until a rat was running around. This should have been done when Rachel has been highlighting this. Yes. Oh no, and that's the whole issue. The council is the problem for Rachel and the other people.
It should never have came to this. When I logged this as a complaint, it should have been dealt with there and then. This far in isn't good enough. It's gone past the point of fucking fixing now.
Yeah, and I tell you now, Rachel, for people like you and your children to listen to rats, anyone who's on rats or mice or combination of both in a house, right? I deal with people, and Rachel described it there at her wit's end. Sitting in your bedroom, or your children probably have to be in the bedroom because you can hear the scratching.
My kids
and the wall.
screaming, crying every night. It's really not any bit fair. I've kept up my side of the tenancy agreement. Why can't they keep up theirs?
And Rachel, can I say this now? That's a huge issue, and it's not just for this. It ties into housing maintenance. It ties into pest control. It ties into how the council is managing properties, and it also comes into where tenants or other people are dumping. Their tenancy should be in jeopardy. What's happening is the victims like you are their tenancy is being put in jeopardy for doing no wrong, where the people who are doing the wrong are getting away scot-free. And the council is going to have to be more aggressive, because the families I'm dealing with, and Mick, can I say this, both North Side and South Side, I'm dealing with families right across the city with this, feel so left down by either the council or their landlords, because
Thomas, I imagine councils and corporations are going to use the old tagline, we're cash strapped. And I imagine on that line, there's very little preventative maintenance going on in these properties. But now, this isn't even corrective maintenance. This is emergency corrective maintenance.
My question this morning is, where do I go now? Because I can't go back into that house.
Well, you have a tenancy agreement. Are they not obliged to sort out some sort of a suitable accommodation while they fix the house and make it fit for habitation?
You see, the problem will be here now, Vic, is for Rachel, right? There's a breakdown of trust. And she made a point there now that the council are up there and they're proofing it at the moment to make sure there's no holes. But Rachel is so, her trust is so low now that if she was to move back in there again, she doesn't believe that it'll be sorted out. Is that right, Rachel?
I can't move back in there. I trusted them 23 months ago. I trusted them 18 months ago, 16 months ago. They don't do what they say they're going to do. I've been here before. Unfortunately, more than once. They're telling me, we're blocking this off, it'll all be fixed. So I'm after hearing it, and I'm after trusting them, and nothing is true. They don't do what they say they'll do. And how do they think that they're going to wave a magic wand down an hour or two and my house will be completely safe? Because it won't be. There's no attics in my house. They have no access in unless they want to take off the roof this morning. Maybe then. Which I highly doubt they're going to do that. I can't go back into that house. My children most certainly cannot go into the house. They're sitting in my car. I'm outside McDonald's because we have nowhere else to go.
So what are you saying? They've no access to the house this morning, so they can only work on the outside, in which case they might be locking the rats in.
The council are in my house now. But they can't wave a magic wand and just fix it. I'm mad about myself and my kids, Nick. Where are we supposed to go now? And no, you're trying to get an answer in the City Hall. Jesus, you might as well be ringing the White House. You can't even walk in there with the fucking virus.
And you see the problem now, Mick, right? For Rachel this morning is Cork City Council are worried about setting a precedent, right? Because if I know of 8 similar cases...
if they do it for me, they'll have to do it for everyone. That's what they're thinking.
And that's what exactly I'd imagine what they're thinking. And if I'm dealing with 8 cases, I'd imagine there are 31 councils in Cork City Council. They must sort have 1 or 2 issues, right?
That's hundreds of cases then, possibly.
Well, even dozens of cases. And the problem with the council at the moment is a shortage of housing. And if they were to house Rachel today, and like what I think the council should do is they should certainly house Rachel in the short term until there can be guarantees given that she can move into the house, move back into the house, knowing and trusting that issue is being resolved. So to me,
because as of now, really, I'm homeless and so are my children. As of right now.
But the thing is, you're not classed as homeless according to the council, even though you could be sleeping in emergency accommodation or with your mum. They would still say your name is on the deed to that house. So what we need them to do now this morning...
They that house in Tenable last week? They wouldn't have housed me if they didn't.
Oh yeah, listen, I'm with you. What I think they need to do is they need to give you a solution now today, because you can't keep going like this.
Or am I supposed to sit in the car with my kids for God only knows how long?
Surely, Thomas, in these days where public health is to the fore, some expert in public health could declare that house unfit for human habitation. Therefore, the onus comes on the relevant authority to rehouse the tenant.
Mick, I have to be honest, right? And your listeners are here now listening to Rachel today and the conditions she's living in. There are people living in flats, bed-sits across the city. There must be dozens, if not hundreds of them, which are not fit for people and families to live in. But the housing crisis is so bad at the moment. People are living in boxes. It's unbelievable. And there's probably people going to contact your show now listening about the conditions that they are living in, the damp, drafts, rats, mice. It's unbelievable. People who might have sick children or sick family members or vulnerable members. The housing crisis, and this goes out with, you have a lack of funding for local authorities to stop what's after happening to Rachel and her family, but you also have a shortage of funding to provide proper housing for people. Well, people should have these are people who are paying rent. They're not getting things for free. It's very important. Sometimes people describe people in these houses, they think they're getting for nothing. People aren't getting these houses for nothing. They're paying their rent. And then they're being still forced to live in these conditions. And that's the whole problem with the housing crisis and the lack of funding. And that's why...
Thomas, with the houses that go up on CBL, people who bid for them are in a position where they're staying somewhere at the moment. There's houses on CBL at the moment and more ready to go up tomorrow that are vacant, that are available for me. I have nowhere to go.
Where do you expect to stay tonight, Rachel?
I have no idea, Mick. My car, maybe, because that's where I stayed last Thursday night.
Well, what we'll do now, Mick, right, is I'll be talking to Rachel when the show is over, right?
Okay.
So my secretary, Ken Weldon, my office manager, right? And we'll touch base with Cork City Council to see what plan. Are they going to put a plan in place now for Rachel? Because obviously she and her children need somewhere to stay.
Okay.
If they're up in the house, and what we'll do then is I'll touch base with Rachel after the show, because this is an unbelievable situation she's in.
Thomas, you're a Choctaw a TD, elected, and surely you can push harder than a member of the public. I
should really hope so.
In the areas where help is needed here.
Well, you see, Mick, the one thing I have to be conscious of, right? Every case must be dealt in its merits. Rachel's case it stands on its merits here, right? But we're dealing with families, with children with special needs, with children with disabilities. I have a man, I actually have 2 men at the moment who are in hospitals in Cork who've lost limbs, who can't return to their homes because they can't get wheelchairs in and out of the house. There's no bathrooms or bedrooms downstairs. It's unbelievable how bad the crisis is right now, Mick. And
Vulture Fund's getting tax breaks to pick up all the housing stock.
Mick, we looked to build houses 10 years ago that if we had built in Cork, we wouldn't be where we are now. When you have the ESRI coming out saying the government should be spending $5 billion a year on housing because the crisis is so bad, that tells you, this government don't get what people like Rachel and others are going through. If they did, they would give Cork City Council and Cork County Council the money to fix these problems, and that is the big issue here.
Okay, would one of them come up and stay in Rachel's house for a night, I wonder? Get an old cot bed and sleep in the kitchen?
Oh, they'd run.
Thomas, in the interest of looking after Rachel, because she has been leaning on this programme to further her cause, can I ask that when you contact her after the programme, you also keep in touch with the production team here so that we can follow Rachel's story to the end?
I'll touch base with Seamus, and what we'll do is I'll be talking. I just have to go because I have a meeting now in relation to new legislation and looking for big formal gambling. And once I've done that, I'll be on to Rachel then straight away. But what I'll do now is I'll get Ken in my office to ring Rachel and to work on it while I'm at the meeting. Okay,
we're doing all we can for you, Rachel, and we wish you the best.
Thomas, did you get my email this morning?
Yes, I did.
Right, perfect.
All right, Rachel, you may also stay in touch with the programme. I'd like to know on an ongoing basis where you're sleeping, if you can't go back to that accommodation. But maybe the fairy with the magic wand will deliver today, and maybe it'll all be safe. What do you think? Will that happen?
Very little faith in that.
All right, guys.
What I would say is, we'll work on it, we'll touch base with Rachel, and we'll touch base with Seamus on the show, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, Thomas Gould, Sinn Fein TD, and Rachel, thank you very much for coming on.
No problem.
Best of luck to you all. Thanks, bye-bye.
Neil Prendeville, the voice of Cork. Weekdays 9 to 12. Cork's Red FM. Red FM.